The following podcast may contain adult language and an abundance of salt. So get ready, nerds, because it's Jude's birthday week, and we're talking monsters. Welcome. Thank you for joining us on the Salty Nerd Podcast. Today, it's Jude's week. She picked all three movies. You can blame her for what's to come. I am joined, as always, by my fantastic panel of nerds. Vader's tweeting. What's up, sir?
I have some vampire too.
You should, yes. Excellent. Good job. And the monster, the witch. I can't call you that.
Sure.
Witch bitch
Go
herself.
for it. Yeah. How dare you?
What's up, Jude? Are you happy with your selection this week?
We'll find out.
Okay. And the producer of the show, Matthew Katish. Welcome.
I'm very happy with 2 out of the 3 of these movies. So good job, babe.
Thanks.
Hey, 2 out of 3 is it's not terrible. All right, guys, we're going to be talking about Monster Brawl, Blood-Sucking Bastards, and What We Do in the Shadows, the original first movie with Taika Waititi. Before we get into these movies, we're going to take a quick break, listen to some sponsors. We'll be right back, and we're going to get into our first one. All right, so stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. Hey, if you would like to support the podcast and you love what we do here, go to saltynerdclub.com. There you can join our Patreon team, and you can get access to all kinds of cool stuff, exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and podcasts, and you get direct contact with us on our Discord channel. We have a whole Discord set up for the patrons only, and we have a ton of fun chatting with you guys. Thank you very much, all of you. We have a couple of new patrons this past month or so. We've gained like 4 of them. Thank you guys so much for your help and your support. Really do appreciate it. We're looking forward to growing and getting even bigger and making even more fun content for you guys to hang out with. I know I chat with all of them every single day on our Discord, so go to saltynerddiscord.com. Once you're a Patreon, you get exclusive access. It's pretty freaking cool. All right, let's get into this. The first movie on our list today is Monster Brawl. And Jude, take it away.
Okay. 2011 Monster Brawl, not rated, with a runtime of 1 hour 29 minutes. Obviously there's no box office for this, but what do you guess is the budget?
The budget for this freaking shithole? I don't know. $3 million.
B?
Stop. You did it for your intro.
Yeah.
Speak words, Frankenstein.
I just want to do the whole thing.
No, please don't.
Then Kadish can put the like shit underneath it. You can make me say
Oh,
whatever I
good.
want.
Give him more work to do.
Oh, God. We'll never hear the end of it.
Yeah, people don't want to read our podcast.
People don't read movie reviews. Anyway,
How much money?
what do you guess?
Well, Jimmy Hart probably cost more than for the rest of the movie just to get him to come on.
Which one
here.
was he?
The Mouth of the South, man.
Oh, the old guy with the cowboy hat?
No,
No.
the guy in the red.
I know
You
that.
obviously never watched 80s WWF.
Jesus, dude.
No.
I'm going to say $5 million.
I thought this would be up your
Jeez,
alley.
You guys are giving it a lot of credit. The budget was $300,000.
No, it was 300,000 Canadian.
That's even worse.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
just
Okay.
figured that was mostly makeup effects.
Probably. Gosh, this movie. Okay, so Jude, what's the synopsis for this
All right.
little jaunt?
In this complete abortion of a movie that I sincerely apologize for picking, monsters battle each other to the death in a wrestling ring. Monster Brawl is the most highly anticipated extreme sporting event ever. 8 deadly monsters face off in creature middleweight, undead middleweight, and heavyweight alive and dead battles to see who is the most deadliest ghoul of all. Guys, I'm really sorry. Like, we were halfway through it, and I was like, "Hey, man, if they haven't watched it yet, we should I should pick something up." And Matt was like, "No, it's too late."
We're committed.
I'm really sorry. The trailer looked funny,
The
and
trailer
I thought
did not look funny.
to me, and and I thought it's either going to be horrible or very, very silly, and I'm very sorry.
So, okay.
Well, here's the thing, Jude. Yes, this is an absolute abhorrent piece of movie making. But you know what? It was still better than Bad Taste. So
Amen.
I at least watched this whole thing.
Yeah.
And
me too.
it is a pile of shit.
Yes, it is.
but I still watched it. And it had Kevin Nash and Jimmy Hart. in it.
Yeah.
So at least there was like some legit people,
Yeah.
you know, who were famous.
Surprisingly.
And the dude from Kids in the Hall.
Dave Foley.
Yeah.
Dave Foley was in it. And yeah, these guys must be like really needing some paychecks.
Yeah, it
something.
makes,
Or they
makes you
owed
wonder
somebody a
if
favor.
there's, yeah, it makes you
Dave-
wonder if they're okay,
I think-
like in real life.
I feel like Dave Foley pulled the whole William Shatner thing in that one weird movie we watched.
100%.
And he
He's
sat
just
there
drinking.
Yes.
That was not
there
fake.
and just got plastered in an afternoon and made this movie.
I kept saying, like, I kind of
He's
want
really drunk.
a sequel with Dave Foley and Shatner refereeing.
Yeah, so Dave Foley, he plays one of the announcers named Buzz Chambers. He's like one of the commentators on these things. And you can tell that
He
like
hates
as the movie like all the different segments, like the Jimmy Hart segment, the Buzz Chamber and Sasquatch Sid Tucker segments and stuff like that were all shot separately
of
from
course.
the monster brawls. And you could tell like he was just on like there for like
There's a
day.
teleprompter.
Oh, yeah.
You can at some point you
yeah,
can
yeah.
see him reading the cards. in
I
front
don't
of
even
him.
think he wore pants for the whole
But,
thing.
but you could tell they were like, Dave, just do something funny with your character. And he's like, I'm just gonna drink.
And
And,
get
and,
really
and so
wasted.
so like the whole like funny thing about his character is like, oh, he's getting drunk the more he like
Yeah.
goes along. But I legitimately thought as I was watching, I was like, that's just Dave Foley getting drunk.
Yeah.
Because this
Yeah.
movie is
Yeah.
such a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So I was watching this and I wasn't really sure what to expect. I'd never even heard of this movie before, Monster Brawl. It's going to be 8 monsters fighting in a ring. And in my head, I'm like, okay, you got legendary monsters coming together in a ring, and it's going to be some goofy, like over-the-top fighting thing. I was thinking like Mortal Kombat, where they're like the
Yeah.
mummy's going to like throw sand and have the freaking, the plagues come
Yeah,
down.
there was no magic.
There was no magic. It was
Uh-uh.
just dumb wrestling moves.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that took all the fun out
it
of it
was
for
so
me.
boring.
It was so dull.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, the problem is that this isn't actually a movie. There's no narrative to it. It's basically like if you watch WWE
Yep.
Raw,
Yeah.
it's like an episode of WWE Raw, except without any of the fan interaction, without any of the intro music.
Yeah.
It's very like kind of subdued and,
Oh my
and
gosh.
weird.
that's that's another thing I
Yeah.
noticed too, is like when like Frankenstein, right? The Frankenstein comes
Uh-huh.
out and he's coming down the little ramp into the ring, complete
Silent.
dead silence.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Because
this
they're in a
is,
graveyard.
this is so boring, dude.
Yeah, it was weird.
It's like,
Weirdest movie. One of the weirdest movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, there aren't any actual characters. Like they have these little vignettes where they like kind of like show the origin of these different monsters.
Mm.
And then they go into the ring and they fight, but like you don't really care who wins.
Right.
Like you're not invested in anything. It's just
Yeah.
like a weird kind of
And they,
kitschy wrestling match.
and they take that from real like UFC fights and
Yes.
WWE
Yeah.
fights and stuff. Because there's always like that little 3-minute.
I grew up
promo.
on the streets of
Yeah.
Ireland, I just had to work my ass off and make
Yeah,
sure I
yeah.
got to the top. That's a terrible
and
Irish accent.
training montages
Yeah.
before the
Yeah,
match.
yeah. Like I was a little kid, I dreamed of the big lights. Like it was like that for these freaking monsters.
Now if they had a the dude JR, good old JR in the Foley spot.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been way better.
Yeah, like if they had actually.
Slobber knocker out there.
I will say some of their puns are on point in this movie though.
Yeah.
So some of the jokes that they said, like, "Oh, that was a ghoulish takedown," like it was kind of goofy, funny, like those
like
dumb
go-
little
go
dad.
campy with
Yeah,
it.
go campy.
Yeah.
I thought
they
there was.
didn't go campy enough is
they
the
didn't.
problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like-
they were
like-
so middle of the road.
Yeah, like this was such a low budget thing that they probably should have made it. Like I think they tried to with Jimmy Hart like being there with like the ring girls and
Should have
stuff like
gotten
that.
Elvira.
Well, I mean,
Well, I think it was like weird. There was like this weird like UFC.
Well, they got
kind
the
of involved-
actual ref
They got
from
the ref from I think
Yeah.
2 girls with Jimmy Hart were both
probably
ring
UFC girls. Yeah.
yeah. The 2 ring girls were definitely from the UFC,
Yeah.
and then you had Herb Dean
Herb,
playing
yeah.
himself, who was
Yeah.
he's like a very well known referee in
They did
the
interview.
UFC. And I think the best part of the movie was like they just killed off Herb Dean.
we can't afford him.
Yeah.
You know what this
Way
movie
too famous for
needed?
us.
This movie needed The Undertaker.
Mm.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
This movie needed a lot of things.
If this
Well,
this
yes.
movie like would have gotten actual WWE fighters to come in and play these characters, like Undertaker was Frankenstein, and
Yeah.
pick a
That would've been cool.
That would have been kind of
'Cause
interesting.
Kevin Nash was in it.
Yeah, the military
Yeah,
dude. Is that him?
Yeah. Kevin Nash was in it very briefly. I think it would have been funny if they got like the Iron Sheik, like a lot of like retired like 1980s wrestlers.
Yeah,
that did
dude.
this thing.
There's so much potential for this, and they just kind of
screwed the pooch.
screwed it up, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, the magic. I was really looking. I'm like,
Me too.
shit if the vampire turns into a swarm of bats and like attacks and it's just
like thinking about it and only watching the trailer, I was thinking, oh my God, that's going to be so like weird and crazy and campy. And that's what I thought I was getting into when I picked this. I didn't realize there was going to be no magic and not really a lot of camp either.
Yeah.
Really nothing for you to enjoy. I drank a bunch while I watched it, and I just like I tried to like put myself in the I'm watching a Raw match, and I was like trying to like figure out, okay, I'm gonna root for this guy, and I was like rooting, and that made it a little bit more fun for me. But like ultimately, as a movie, it's a big
I did find myself rooting for Werewolf.
I knew you would.
Yeah,
I'm
me
like
too.
I wanted that dude to win.
Yeah.
Although like the trash talking in this movie
so bad.
was cringeworthy.
Oh, very.
So cringy.
Very.
Terrible. But I don't know. I mean, they sprinkled a little bit of magic. The Cyclops had like his laser vision.
That was lame.
It was super lame.
Yeah.
The mummy had his
sunlight
amulet,
which I think was the
thing.
best thing that he could have done. Like, oh, he summoned the son of Ra and against the vampire. That's a great power to have against a vampire.
Yeah, yeah.
So I thought it was legit, but then she ended up winning anyway, and I was like, the fuck is this nonsense?
Yeah.
It was terrible. This movie's shit.
Should have turned into a pile of ash right there.
Yeah,
in
that
the
would have
middle
been
of it.
dope. Yeah, more magic, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about just a better movie next time? Get
Or
some
just-
actors. Yeah.
Yeah, something. There's a lot of potential here.
How
Could have
about,
been a
how
lot of
about we
fun.
just don't make any more of these?
I hope they don't.
I don't think they will.
I don't think they will
It's
either.
been 10 years.
I did rent it, though, so they made a little bit of money. Vader piggybacked
Is it
off
the
of me.
10-year
though, so-
anniversary?
I didn't end up piggybacking on you for any of these.
No, I thought you said you did.
No, I was going to, but my Roku's old and I can't stream to it.
Oh, that's a bummer. Need to buy you a new Roku.
I know.
All right. Let me think. What can I ask you guys to polish this off with?
We can just do final thoughts.
Do you want to do final? Do you have a least favorite moment?
This
Something
is,
that
this
just
is
was
like
like,
our quickest part,
yeah, this is
quickest movie review
There's
ever.
nothing to say. It's
It's
just
really
so
not
bad.
terrible.
You guys don't watch it.
It's not even. I wouldn't even call it a movie. I'd call it like one of those like sci-fi original specials or something like that.
Yeah.
Where,
Yeah,
where
it's
there's no story to it. There's really nothing. There's no characterization. You don't really care about the outcome. So like it's just kind of like there.
you know
Yeah.
you know who does this better is that YouTube channel that pits two superheroes together. What is it called?
Oh, yeah. Celebrity Deathmatch?
Yes, well, not Celebrity Deathmatch, just something else, but it's in the same vein
Okay.
where it's like two
Epic
like
rap battles.
yeah, no, that's another one. Something
I don't know.
like that. God, Nick knows what I'm talking
If
about.
this were an epic rap battle of history, I'd be down for it.
Okay.
It's been great. I'm a rap battle. Yeah.
Frankenstein versus the Wolfman.
What is your?
Like, it could have been really good.
It could have been really good. Yeah, I think that YouTube channel does it better than
I
this
think
thing
there,
did.
I think there actually is an epic rap battle.
It might be. I just wanted the Wolfman to like sniff Frankenstein's butt.
Oh my god.
And Vader, there were midgets in this movie.
There were.
Yeah, but he was.
Half star? Okay. Vader, final thoughts and least favorite.
Final thoughts.
Movie, or-
it's just a bad movie. I don't even know if it's a movie or not. It's just weird.
I don't think
It's
it
one of the
qualifies
weird.
as a movie.
It's one of the weirder things I think I've ever watched. But yeah, man, it's a 1-star crap fest. Absolutely.
You're giving it 1 star.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
for 100%. It's
Wow.
not. It's not good. I don't really have a worst or favorite part. It's just a pile of crap.
Okay. That's all right.
Yeah,
you don't
I'm-
have to expound. You're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jude, final thoughts and least favorite moment.
It's terrible. And I really apologize. So, you know, for me, I've always said like a 1-star crap fest has to be something that makes me angry while I watch it. And that did not happen. Although the whole time I felt terrible because I knew I was making you guys watch it. So it's barely above a 1-star crap fest for me. It's like a 1.25
Okay.
crap fest. My least favorite part was the witch bitch. There was no, you're a witch and there's no magic.
None.
You're just doing weird wrestling moves. The training montage was a little bit enjoyable, but then I thought she would incorporate that with magic to win her fight, and it didn't happen, and it made no sense. You're a witch. Why not just hire a wrestler?
Who is she fighting?
Cyclops.
Cyclops. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is a weird insert into this.
Yeah, because they both had to be alive to be in this match. They were both middleweights,
Yeah.
and neither of them were undead. So
Again, yeah, but it is weird because it's like a Greek
I enjoy the
mythology thing.
rules, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not much above a 1-star crap fest for me.
Katie, how about you, buddy? Does this even qualify as a movie?
I would argue it doesn't.
It's 1 hour 29 minutes technically. It has the runtime to be considered a movie.
Well, it doesn't really have a story. Like they don't really say why these monsters are brawling. You know, like what's the end game on
For
this?
our entertainment.
You know, something like that. But you know, I grew up as like a WWF
Me too.
fan. Like I was really into it when I was in college, you know, with The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Mankind.
Yep.
So like as a wrestling fan, I wasn't even enjoying this.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where like you could tell what they were going for. They just weren't very good at doing it. The budget was way too low to do any real special effects. You could tell most of their budget probably went to like costume design and booze. Yeah. They did have like some like recognizable names in this movie, but you could tell like just how low budget it was because you never see them like with the monsters. They're always very separate. Like when they cut away, you could tell that it was shot on a different day. And the people who were recognizable just showed up for like, you know, 20 hours or something like that.
An
to shoot their scene, an afternoon. Yeah. So in that sense, like when we watched Christmas Horror Stories
Yes.
with William Shatner,
That
like,
was so good.
yeah, like Shatner just showed up for like an afternoon, drank some
Got
wild
blitzed.
turkey, and got a paycheck, and you could tell that's what everyone was doing.
They did that right. And I think their budget was higher.
True. But with this movie, it was just like there were no characters. Like they were using classic monsters, but they never really developed them all that much. So you didn't care who won. And there was no storyline. There was nothing really carrying this movie. It was literally like watching an episode of WWE Raw, which actually has
They have actual stories.
yeah,
there.
yeah. I was gonna say
Yeah.
WWE Raw actually has like storylines and audience interaction. Like a lot of my problem with this is it felt so low energy because there was no audience and like they obviously couldn't afford extras to come in.
There was
freaking-
nothing at stake.
Yeah.
Nobody was watching.
Yeah, exactly. Like no intro music. Like when they were coming out of like their little sheds to the ring,
Oh, I know.
there was
Right?
there was like no
gets me
excitement.
hyped.
You
Yeah.
know what's interesting about that? What you just said is for the last year, until just like the last couple of weeks, the real wrestling shows, the AEW, the WWE, they've all been doing their shows at their training facilities or in an empty stadium.
Yeah,
And low energy, huh?
And while they try, it never is as good.
Yeah.
So I'm a wrestling fan. I used to watch it religiously every week.
Me too.
I didn't watch it for the last year and a half because there was no audience.
Yeah.
And then then the WWE they put up their walls and monitors and everybody's watching from home. Still sucks. It's still not the same.
Yeah.
Even though it looks cool, it's still not the same.
yeah.
So-
There's an aspect to wrestling that's like part pageantry, part spectacle, and this movie was like missing all of that, and it was just like really boring.
Yeah.
I mean that was the worst thing I could say about this show is that it was boring as hell, and like we were about I'd say like a half hour in when Jude was like, maybe we shouldn't be watching this. I was like, no, you made your bed. We're gonna lie in it. So, but yeah, I'm tempted to give this 0 stars
yeah,
for the first time because like it's just a nothing movie. You forget it and you kind of regret
I don't
having
know if
watched
I'm ever
it.
going to be able to forget it.
I'm sure
Well, it's forgettable, and you kind of wish that you didn't have to watch it after you were done watching it.
It's regrettable.
Yeah,
I think-
and like you could see like there's a germ of like a good potential idea there, but it was just so poorly executed.
Yeah.
Like this whole thing feels cheap. It was shot on video. You could tell like how they kind of segmented the different characters to shoot them on their day when they were available and stuff like that. It was just like really poorly done. And
I feel like the actors that were in this thing were probably embarrassed to even admit that they were in it.
I don't know. Jimmy Hart hasn't really done a whole lot.
Yeah, I think they were probably pretty secure in the fact that nobody was going to watch this.
Yeah, it's like, it's just some paycheck. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but I kind of feel like if they had kind of embraced the campiness a little
Yeah.
bit more, it could have been
Yeah.
a better thing. But as of now, like I'm just like, this movie is awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an awful movie. I would mirror all of your opinions on this. It's not a good movie. It's dumb. It's boring. You don't care about any of the fighters. My least favorite is probably Cyclops. There was one moment where I actually did laugh out loud was when Swamp Gut was doing his little monologue, and he was just like, "Rah, rah," and then underneath it, it was like an environmental message about like how you're supposed to take care of the swamps and how dare you dirty humans, and like his little vignette, is that what you call it? His little vignette where he's like eating the fisherman. And he like rips the guy's arm off and he's eating it. It still has a beer can in it. Like there's a couple of gems.
If they had like made those moments bigger, this could have been really funny.
There's some gems of humor in this. And I was like, God damn it. It just needs to be more of that.
Yeah.
More campy.
We should point out that this movie's narrated by Lance Hendrickson.
Oh my God.
And it's weird because like after these monsters do their finishing move against their opponent, there's like a Mortal Kombat moment where Lance Hendrickson's just like fatality. It's very weird.
I think he said excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
He said a lot of different things.
Gorish. Yeah, it was just so goofy. Yeah.
I want to know. He must be related to somebody that made the movie and did him a favor or something.
I don't know.
No, he literally got paid to like sit down for an hour and just record.
And record it.
Probably at his computer. At home.
Say this line. Okay. But yeah, it's a 1-star crap fest for me. It's not worth watching unless you're like really into punishing yourself. I had a half an hour left. Oh, also this movie feels like it's 7 hours long because there's just no end in sight. You're just watching. You're like, holy shit.
Yeah, but by the end of like the second match, you're just kind of like over it.
Yeah,
and you just want it to end, and it just keeps going.
That's when you realize this is the whole movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
But there's still like an hour left.
I texted Jude. I took a screenshot of how much I had. I had 30 minutes left. I texted Jude and I was like, oh my effing God. And she's like, save it for the pod.
Well, I'm glad I picked a movie that bonded us together as a team. We all feel the same way.
We're literally the only 4 people who have ever seen this movie.
Yeah, that's also true.
We're going to get a thank you just for talking about it.
Yeah, right.
Thank you for hating my movie.
Hey guys, thanks for talking about it on your podcast. YouTube
we know it sucks too.
This is the danger of Canadian filmmaking.
Oh God! If Kevin Smith showed up, that would have been funny.
Gonna pound a cold cock while he's watching the match.
Cold cock. This goofy little smile.
Probably would have cried or something.
This movie's so wonderful. All right, guys, that's it for Monster Brawl. Stay tuned. Next up is Blood-Sucking Bastards. We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. Hey, if you'd like to chat with us, go to our Discord server. That's saltynerddiscord.com. We have all kinds of new chat rooms set up, and we've got a whole influx of people coming in, so it's a lot more active than it used to be, which is awesome. So come and join us. I am there exclusively on Discord, chatting with all of our friends, our Patreons, and fans of the podcast, and anybody who wants to show up and talk nerd stuff. We are there. saltynerddiscord.com. Come and hang out. Okay, guys, next up is Blood-Sucking Bastards, the surprise hit of this week for me. I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. So, Jude, take it away. What is this movie?
I just want to say that I had never seen Monster Brawl or Blood-Sucking Bastards before, and I was really looking for something that I hadn't seen a million times, and I wanted to like watch something new for the podcast, and I had one hit and one failure. So, I mean, I'm 50-50.
I want to ask if you've seen...
I don't know about that, but okay.
Have you seen Feast?
I don't think so.
Put it on your list.
Okay.
It's right up your alley.
All right.
You'll like it.
I'm going to look at the trailer later and see if I've seen it before.
Okay.
Because I've seen most horror movies.
Is that the one with Jason Mewes?
Yes, he gets his face ripped off. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, God damn it. Spoiler.
well, that was a movie that was made by that early 2000s Ben Affleck and Matt Damon filmmaking contest show on HBO. Project Greenlight, I believe it was. And Feast was like the last movie that they produced before that show went off the air.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, 2015, Blood-Sucking Bastards, not rated, with a runtime of 1 hour, 26 minutes. I have no money information for this movie, but I'll get right into the synopsis.
Go ahead.
All right. When Evan's boss gives the promotion he's been working so hard for to Pedro Pascal, who happens to be a vampire, the company starts making some internal changes. Suddenly, all the slackers in the office actually do their jobs and stop watching porn at work. Turns out vamping out your staff is a great productivity tool. After a meeting with the Bobs, Evan, his best friend Tim, and the office building security guard figure out the vampire's plan and realize it's up to them to save the remaining humans in the building. They storm the boss's office to save Evan's girlfriend and confront the vamps. When their boss, Ted, learns the company planned to kill him instead of turning him, the confrontation goes full bloodbath, and the friends must fight their way out using only what they can find in the supply closet as weapons.
I really freaking like this movie.
I loved it. It was so much fun.
Surprised.
Yeah.
I was expecting, because I can't remember if I think I watched this first before Monster Brawl.
So did we.
And I was like, this is surprisingly funny. Like, the characters were goofy.
All of the jokes came back.
Yeah. The jokes all landed. The characters were all goofy, though, especially his friend with the blonde hair and the mustache.
Tim.
He was freaking hilarious.
Great. Yeah. And then the other guy who got turned into a vampire, but they were all kind of best friends. And they did
when they were throwing the candy back and forth.
Thing. Yeah.
Up.
Gotta break the record.
They were like, well, what if I kill you? And then that way I'm not a vampire. And he's like, no, it's not going to work for me, bro. And he's like, oh,
yeah.
God. All right,
So
what's plan C?
There's this part in the movie
Skipping right to the end, are you?
Yeah, really.
So these three slacker friends, like Evan is the main guy. He works really hard. He's trying to get a promotion. And, and there's like these two other guys in the office. They're both complete slackers. And they watch a lot of porn at the office and just like they don't do their jobs. Yeah, they play video games. So at one point, the one slacker gets turned into a vampire. And all of a sudden, he's like the boss's protege. But he still really likes his friends. And they're like, at the end, they're like, well, so I'm going to turn you now. Is that cool? And the guy that's not a vampire is like, no, man, that's not cool. And he's like, well, I mean, I'm not going to let you kill me. So he's like, yeah, but I just got new golf clubs. Yeah. And I kind of like want to stay a human. And they're like, well, I guess we got to work this out. And they just start throwing candy back and forth at each other.
They Rochambeau for it.
They Rochambeau, yeah. And it's just so fun and funny and well written.
I was shocked when Pedro Pascal showed up.
Right?
I was like, no shit.
Yeah.
The Mandalorian himself.
Yeah, the Mandalorian showed up in the show. It was just a goofy,
it's
funny.
A hoot.
Yeah. I almost got like, if it was a little bit funnier, I mean, it's pretty funny, but if it was a little bit funnier and a little bit more quotable, I think it would be Office Space level.
Exactly. I kept saying, like, this is Office, like Monster Office Space.
Yeah, I got that same vibe. I mean, it's not as, I don't know, like Office Space is up here.
Yeah.
It's not
a cult classic because none of us had ever heard of it before.
It felt very much like that show Workaholics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hadn't watched it, but Vader, you keep shaking your head at me, bud. What do you?
Oh, V.
Did you not like this movie?
I didn't hate it, but I think you guys are like way more worked up over this thing than you need to be. It's a silly little movie.
You're not the boss of how much I need to get worked up, sir.
Whatever. Sorry. It's not that good. Okay. Yeah, this thing, it felt like a Office Space kind of spoof with vampires. Which is what it was. I didn't think it was that funny. I liked it the more we got into it. As the characters kind of like, God damn it, kind of flesh themselves out a little bit. Yeah. Is that the right word?
Sure. Flesh vampires. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see what you did.
But yeah, I get that you guys like it. I don't understand you're like absolutely gushing over it.
Oh, I thought
that really surprises me because you're a vampire guy.
Yeah, I thought this was kind of dumb.
Huh.
I like some of the moments. The security guard dude was kind of dumb. Okay, Colonel.
Colonel Sanders.
Yeah. You know.
And his friend was like, I just got that. Yeah. Colonel Sanders, like from KFC, right?
Yeah, I get it, man. Yeah, that was a good moment.
I felt like I've seen this movie before.
Okay.
Does that make sense? With these kind of spoofy office movies?
I don't know, man. There's a lot of good humor in this movie. I think you're not giving it credit for.
I like the best friend. He was funny.
Yeah. And the whole thing with the chick, what was her name? Amanda?
I forget.
I think her name was Amanda.
Yes,
when they were making the joke about her having like a little boy's haircut, that shit was like, I'm like, oh,
funny.
Vader's gonna laugh at that. He said something about a lesbian. She's like, why do you think I'm a lesbian? Because you got a lesbian haircut. Yeah. I was like, that's Vader's freaking humor, man.
No, I like that guy. He was funny.
All right.
But he was like the best part of the movie.
Okay. I liked him and the security guard once they got together, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't tell you that." Yeah, he's been there the whole time, and they just like pan the camera over. He's like sitting there eating or drinking a Red Bull,
bumming chips off of each other.
I love the Red Bull marketing placement in this movie.
Did you
Yes.
like how he shotgunned
They
that?
must have.
that
Oh
Red
yeah.
Bull?
Yeah, it's like, he took way too long to drink it though. If he was shotgun.
Okay, how did you feel about the guy in the beginning who was trying to collect the money for the pool?
I want my $20 or something like that. And then
Yeah.
he turned into a vampire.
And then he turned into a vampire and then he's a badass.
yeah. Yeah.
But like he had that cat that was allergic to some types of air.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
He's been telling people all these stories about his ailing cat.
yeah. So like this movie, it starts off very
Gets
like
milk in his eye. Sorry, Kate. Just go ahead.
this movie starts off with just like establishing this office, and they're a telemarketing company that kind of like is pushing penis pills at this point.
Foul sight.
Yeah, yeah, and basically everyone in the office is just like a total like they don't respect their job, they hate what they do, and so they spend a lot of their time just kind of goofing off. And the main character Evan, who's played by Fran Krantz, who you guys might recognize from some Joss Whedon stuff. He was in Cabin in the Woods, Dollhouse, stuff like that. He's like the interim sales manager, and all of his buddies who he used to work with are kind of like underneath him, like he's supervising them, but because they're buddies with him, they don't really respect him, and so they're always goofing off, playing video games and stuff like that. So there's this one guy who the office has like a fantasy football pool, and this guy like won, and he keeps trying to collect money from these guys. And everyone's just like kind of shining him on. And then when at a certain point, it's established that the company, because it's kind of like, not very profitable, they go to corporate and they bring in Pedro Pascal, who's like a master vampire. And he just starts turning everyone into vampires because vampires tend to be more productive.
It's great for business.
Yeah, it's good for business. And so like the staff slowly starts becoming vampires. And as they become vampires, they kind of become better versions of themselves in a way. And so the guy who was trying to collect the fantasy football payout gets like super violent. And so everyone's scared of him.
Very aggro all of a sudden.
Yeah.
He's like this like kind of a huge guy, but he's wearing like these adorable sweaters and these little glasses, and he's like, can I get my $20, please? He's very Milton from Office Space, and then all of a sudden he's a vampire and he's like, give me my fucking money.
Yeah, and everyone starts paying him. It's like, here you go.
Tim is like, can I borrow $20?
You made a wager and you lost.
He's like-
now you
he's
have
like-
to pay the price.
He's like, I didn't even join that pool, but can I borrow $20 to pay this guy?
Yeah, and so like it's kind of funny because there's a character at the beginning who's an intern, and he was in Mythic Quest. He was the Danny Pudi's brother.
Oh yeah, the
in
shark.
Mythic Quest. Yeah, the shark guy. And so like he's one of the first victims. And what's interesting about this movie is that so when we were watching the opening credits, it says that it was produced and co-written by Dr. God.
Yeah.
And I was like, Dr. God?
Oh,
Like,
I know you looked that up.
I did. So basically, you guys know the actor who plays the janitor in the movie?
Yes.
Okay. So he's one of the founding members of a LA comedy troupe that call themselves Dr. God.
Oh,
And so they were the ones who produced and wrote this movie as like a comedy troupe together. And
well
a lot
done.
a lot of the people in this are in that comedy troupe. And so it's just their improv and their humor and stuff like that, which originally this movie was called Bloodsucking Bosses, but they changed it to Bastards because they're just like, why not?
Yeah.
Who cares?
It's a better title.
Yeah. So I was surprised
Yeah.
at how much I enjoyed this movie. Like
So-
it's
yeah.
really funny.
Yeah.
It's a really funny movie.
It's a surprise hit for me as well.
We watched this one first, and I was a little nervous because I'd never seen it before, so it's not like I could vet the movies prior to recommending them for
Yeah.
you. So we watched this one first, and I felt like so confident about it that I felt good going into Monster Brawl, and then my total like self-worth crashed.
That's funny. There's a lot of funny moments. I think it was extremely well written as far as like the jokes really landed, and then they're always paid off at the end. There's
Yes.
always something at the end that kind of ties back to the earlier scene where before anybody was a vampire. So I really liked all that stuff. Pedro Pascal, if I'm crazy, let me know, but I feel like he played more or less the same type of character he played in Wonder Woman 1984.
100%.
I was like, that's
Yeah.
that's his character. What,
Yeah.
what I don't remember his name in that freaking shitty movie.
Guy.
The dude,
Yeah.
the guy with the Trump hair.
Mhm.
He was I think this is a much better movie than that. but he plays that same character, and
Yes.
it works.
100%.
So I thought
And
it was
this came before that, right?
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I had a good time with this movie. I would recommend it if you guys haven't seen it. Go check it out. It's worth the $3.99 if you want to rent it.
Yeah.
It's kind of an absurdist movie in the sense that everyone kind of finds out that vampires exist, and they're just like, oh, they're vampires.
Yeah.
And you're coming off this like super ridiculous kind of like office comedy, and then all of a sudden it becomes like a horror comedy mashup.
I'm so proud of them for not skimping on the amount of blood that they used.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that
Because
was
that was
pretty gnarly.
yeah. I mean, they were like,
Well, when they find out how to kill the vampires just explode.
Yeah.
And so like blood's just like everywhere.
dude. Just gory,
And the
thick, freaking blood, and they're like, "Does that happen every time?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it does.
Like they get it in their mouths and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And
Oh,
it's like,
the scene where they killed Pedro Pascal, spoiler alert, and they stab him in the heart, and then he like goes through his little like freaking thing, and he blows up, and the whole room's just covered in like thick blood and guts, and they start making out because they're finally like in love with you. They're like, "Oh my god, I love you so much." And
I
then
can't believe we survived
the guy's
that.
like, "Wow, this is the weirdest freaking grossest thing I've ever seen." Then he opens the door and he's like, "I stand corrected." And it was so goofy.
Yeah.
I loved it.
So who is this Joey Kern guy that played him?
So he's just this like weird actor. It's kind of funny because when we were watching the movie, he's got blonde hair. He's got a mustache. I thought he maybe grew the mustache for the movie, but no, he's just like
That's
that-
him.
It's
that's
a
his
good looking
mustache.
stash.
And I was like, I feel like I've seen this guy in like a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
But when I went through his IMDb, I'm like, I haven't really seen him in anything.
Yeah, I'm
but,
looking-
but like
I'm looking at
he
it
looks
right
so
now.
familiar to me.
He does look very familiar.
But he kind of stole the show.
He
Like,
did.
like,
Yeah.
his character was
He
like
did.
hilarious.
If it wasn't for his character, I probably would have been completely out
Mhm.
of this movie. But he saved it. I thought he was really funny. This chair is really pissing me off.
I got something that can fix it. It's cool.
But yeah, he saved this movie for me.
Yeah.
I liked his character. I liked his performance. His timing was good. His kind of nonchalant attitude. You know, it's just that's the kind of character I like. That's the kind of character that makes me laugh.
Yeah.
And yeah, he saved this thing.
And I loved it when he was teamed up with the security guard because like the security guard was really funny too.
He's like the straight man,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
super serious, like almost militant guy.
Yeah, who's just like doing like regular security.
I love the scene where they're like, how do you kill a vampire? And he's telling them all the different ways you can do it. And he's like, man, you think I got this badge by being freaking nothing? Like I've killed some bloodsuckers in my day.
Yeah, he was like talking about his previous security guard where he had to kill vampires. It's like vampires are just like a thing. And
Yeah.
Vampires, man, I hate them. You hate them too.
yeah, and like they run into the janitor and they can't remember the janitor's actual name. And the guy's like, I've been a janitor here for like 8 years.
And then when they learn his name, they're all like, Jerry.
That's
I was right on
right.
the tip of my tongue.
There's a lot to love about this movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would say it's a very easy and safe 3-star movie for me. It's too many favorite moments to say just one. It was good throughout the whole thing. I had a ton of fun. Vader, final thoughts. Give it a rating. What do you got, buddy?
It's a fun movie. Like I said, I didn't like it as well as you guys did. I thought the Tim character was definitely the highlight. I did like the one character with the $20 guy.
Yeah.
He was pretty funny. Girlfriend was cute. She was very cute. Pedro Pascal was great. Thought he was really good in this movie as well. As far as a rating goes, I'm gonna put it 2.5. I think that's a good rating
Okay.
for me. Yeah, I
Mid-
mean, definitely.
half?
If you haven't seen it, watch it. And if you like kind of like Office Space movies, if you like vampire movies, there's something here for you for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Jude, how about
It's
you?
all right.
I loved it. I really liked the boss, Ted, too, because he was like Evan storms in and he's like, they're all vampires. And
He's
Ted's
like,
like,
"Yeah, I
well,
know."
yeah, this is coming down from corporate, man. what do you think?
But it's like, have you seen our production lately? It's great.
Yeah. And then when he finds out like they were never going to turn him into a vampire, he's all like, you said you were going to light candles and make it special. You were just going to eat me. And he's
That's
so
right.
outraged.
Yeah.
I just think there's so much good humor in this. It's very well written, and it's also like a monster movie.
Mhm.
I loved it. It's a very solid 4-star monster movie for me.
Right on. Cool. Candace, how about you, bud?
I'd venture to say that this is one of the best comedies I've seen in quite a long time. Like I laughed very hard
Wow.
when I was watching this movie. The humor all hit for me. There's kind of like this, interesting love story at its core between the main character of Evan and his girlfriend Amanda. So like there's that kind of solid through line through the movie. You get to know all the characters really well, and you get to kind of care about them and just like them because they're all very like funny and likable. The overall story is interesting and absurdist, and I really appreciated it. Like, I was never bored during this movie. I was thoroughly entertained. The cast was good. The writing was spot on. The jokes all landed for me. And the mark of a good movie is like when you can talk about it and still like laugh and giggle and, just kind of like obsess over some of the funnier, jokier moments. So I'm with Jude on this one. I give it a solid 4 stars.
Wow. That's high praise, man.
Cool. Dang, I'm like the odd man out on
yeah,
this
you
one.
are, man. I could have sworn I thought you were going to like this movie more, but that's all good.
It's okay.
It's all good. All right, guys, that's it for Bloodsucking Bastards. Stay tuned. Last on our list is What We Do in the Shadows. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors, and stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. Hey, we're trying something new out. If you go to saltylist.com, you will join our weekly newsletter. Weekly newsletter.
Wow.
What do we have to say that we can put something out every week?
We're going to be talking about different types of entertainment news, stuff that's trending. So, and we'll be giving our insights into all those types of topics. So,
because we have opinions.
I thought it was like, those letters that the weird aunt sends out every Christmas.
It's kind of like that.
I think we should make
movies.
it like, if you don't forward this to 1,000 other people and tell them to subscribe to the Salty Nerd Podcast, and you will have bad luck for 7 years.
This is email.
It's almost snail mail.
Email is almost snail mail now.
It's the mailer demon.
but it's a great way to kind of let us keep in touch with our listeners. So like if you guys, feel like, giving us your email address so that we can send you these newsletters, and we'll also send you updates on the show.
And a bunch of spam.
And for instance, like when we're doing live events, like we're doing at the Star Trek convention, like you guys will find out about it. So it's just a good way to kind of keep in touch with our listeners.
Yeah. And it's always helpful in case something terrible happens and YouTube's algorithm nukes our channel. We have direct contact with you guys. We can let you know if we're moving to a different place or
when we get
nuked. It's only a matter of time. So saltylist.com, join up, give us your email address. We'll send you some cool stuff.
You guys have too many rape jokes.
Also, God damn it, Matt. Also, saltynerdstore.com. We have these official Salty Nerd Podcast t-shirts available now. Matt's wearing the other one. It's got our symbol in the corner, and then on the back, it's the full logo. We made these special for the convention, but they're available to you guys if you want to rock them. I think they're pretty awesome. These are my favorite ones that we have on the list right now. So saltynerdstore.com. Okay, What We Do in the Shadows. Take it away, Jude.
All right. 2014, What We Do in the Shadows, rated R with a runtime of 1 hour, 26 minutes. This had a budget of $1.6 million.
That's it?
What do you think it brought in?
Good for this little movie.
All right.
I'm going to say it brought in $38 million.
So far?
Way down.
10 million.
You're closer. $7 million.
Oh, that's it? Okay.
Yeah, but
Which is kind of
It's kind of a cult classic, though, right?
I mean, with a low budget like that, that's 2014.
So
spending $1 million on a movie.
Here's the thing, though, about this movie.
He's gonna correct me. I know it.
So no, I'm not correcting you. I'm saying that. So first of all, the budget for this was primarily financed by the government of New Zealand. It was like some type of like filmmaking grant.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the most pirated movie in history.
What?
I can see
Yeah.
that.
So like it was one of those things where it wasn't widely available, internationally. And
But
so
it's so good that everybody wanted it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So like people basically downloaded the crap out of this thing illegally. And when I think there was like some type of big bust of like some type of torrent site, and they found out that this movie was the top torrented movie
Pirate Bay.
Probably.
of
Probably.
the site.
Pirates.
So they estimated that they lost out on multi-millions of dollars based off of the amount of pirating.
Wow.
That this
I
movie
I
received.
can't confirm nor deny it, but I might have seen this movie the very first time from downloading a torrent. I don't know.
This is
But
my
now
first-
we've all bought it.
This is my first
Oh,
time
yeah.
watching it.
Yeah, for sure. What?
I've never seen
What?
it.
So
Get
you
outta
you
here.
watched the TV show before you watched this
Oh,
movie?
Yeah.
Of course
Alex,
you did.
what
of
the
course
fuck?
you fucking did.
What?
Jesus Christ.
The TV show is like
Oh my
adjacent. You don't need to watch this movie to watch the
Still.
TV show.
Show some respect.
God almighty.
You ready for the synopsis?
So you didn't get their little cameo on the Vampire Council episode?
No, not at all. I thought they were all new characters.
You're a disgrace.
We have to start. We have to start like vetting you before we start. I know.
Before we
okay,
watch
Salty.
anything, we have to educate him.
This-
like, hey, here's your homework list before you're allowed
Yeah,
to
it's like,
watch
This,
this.
this is the guy who watched the sequel to Coming to
That's
what
America
I'm
right
saying.
before the original
That's what
to
I'm
see
saying.
if the original
I
held up.
think we lost a patron because of that. It's like he did what? No,
People
this
are
isn't
still
worth of our
talking
time.
about that. You boggle my mind, sir. You're like
like,
cardio
listen,
for my brain.
From going forward, if we watch a movie or a TV show that's a sequel or based on something else, you need to let us know, or we're going to ask you ahead of time.
Yeah.
Have you watched this yet?
Sure.
And you're going to have to just
You're the young one on
do
the
extra
pod.
homework.
We're gonna have to treat you like a baby.
That's right.
Like, all right.
Do you need a booby
Did
to
you-
suck before you?
Did you wipe
Yes,
your
please.
butt?
Who the fuck says no to that?
You need a little booby for your movie?
Bring it on.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Synopsis.
ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Synopsis is
What We Do in the Shadows. A very serious documentary about 4 vampires picked to live in a house and have their lives taped to find out what happens when vampires stop being polite and start getting real. When the oldest vampire in the house turns what was supposed to be dinner into his progeny, the flatmates' lives are sent into turmoil. Nick, the new vampire, introduces the vampires to the modern world while struggling to adapt to his new life. Along his journey, he makes some mistakes which have devastating consequences and introduces the group to Stu, his best friend. Everyone agrees not to eat Stu because he's a really cool guy. Discuss.
love this
What did you
movie.
think? It was your first watch? Angel Baby.
I absolutely love the fact that Pete, I think the oldest vampire, Peter,
Peter.
was Nosferatu.
Yes.
I was like, oh shit, that's awesome.
Uh-huh.
And he was like this creepy dude, and he's like, Pete, we have a meeting
We're
for the
having a house
flatmate.
meeting.
Can you come out? And he's just like, he just fucking jumps back and gets scared.
I got you this chicken.
And he opens the other door, and the dude's just having sex in like a red velvet background. It's just, god damn it, dude,
There's
this movie
so
is
many like just vampire cliches
This is-
throughout. It's so fun.
so funny. It holds up. See, this is the thing. Yes, I watched the TV show first. The TV show holds up by itself. You can
Oh,
watch
yeah.
that and freaking
Yes,
laugh
that's
and
true.
love it. You go back and watch this, and it just makes everything even better.
Yeah.
Also true.
That cannot be said.
However,
About Coming to America.
you are a professional podcaster and you should do your homework.
Yes, I did love this movie. It holds up very well. Everything that I love about the TV show is in spades in this movie. It's freaking great. Taika Waititi's freaking hilarious. I love almost everything that he's made.
Yeah.
I can't think of a movie that he's made that I didn't like.
We have some very good friends that just
Hate Taika
Taika
Waititi,
Waititi,
and I don't
yeah.
understand why. He's so freaking funny.
It's because he loves to troll people on
he
Twitter.
does.
Like
He's
his,
kind of a
his,
dick.
his sense of humor, like when people come at him, like he just rags them right back,
Yeah.
and people think that he's being serious.
But his,
I don't
his-
think Taika
his-
Waititi has a serious bone in his
His
body.
character in this movie is funny too because he's like a dandy.
Yeah.
And he's just like, he's the one that like wakes everybody up and makes sure everything's tidy and everything's
Mm-hmm.
appropriate. And it's like, oh, we're going to go do the meeting. Would you come to the meeting? I'm like, oh, wake everybody up,
You haven't done the dishes in 10 years.
Vampires don't do dishes. It's freaking hilarious, man. Everything about this movie is funny. I have zero salt for it. I had a blast.
I struggle going back and forth between what I like more, the show or the movie. And I can't decide. I love them both
I
so
think-
much. But I am wearing my show t-shirt.
That's awesome.
today.
I think I like the show more. I think it's only because you
It's
get
tough,
you
'cause
get
I love
more,
Nadja.
Yeah, but you get more time with the characters
Yeah.
to kind of develop, and it makes it funnier.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, you're kind of just thrown in.
I love Jackie Daytona.
Oh God, Jackie Daytona. We're gonna just talk about the show.
Well, it's important to note that the show takes place in the same
Yes.
universe as this, and and the movie that we're reviewing, it's set in New Zealand.
Yeah, and the show
Whereas
is
the
in New
show
Jersey.
it's in Rhode Island.
It's
I
in-
think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What?
The TV show takes place in Rhode Island. I
Staten
believe.
Island.
Staten Island.
Staten Island, New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, kind of culturally different, but this movie was based off of a short film that Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement did. It was called What We Do in the Shadows, Interviews with Vampires or something like that. And they went and kind of applied for a grant from the New Zealand government to make the feature version of it. And they wrote a 150-page script for this movie that they didn't show to any of the actors. And they ended up shooting 125 hours of footage for this 2-hour movie.
God, I would love to see.
I want to see all of it.
Seriously,
Yeah.
I want the behind the scenes, what we do in the shadows.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like they did so much improv on this movie that
I'm
that
sure.
there's literally 120 hours out there that's just like on a
Oh
shelf
my
somewhere.
God,
That would
and
be
somebody
so
had
good.
to edit that down.
When
How
we-
did you choose?
When we get big enough, I'm going to call Taika Waititi and be like, bro,
Yeah, man.
we need that footage.
I'm going to start enticing him to troll me on Twitter.
Do
Yeah,
it.
there you go.
Do it.
So there was a really funny story where, you know, because like they cut so much of this movie out, and they had a scene where they were doing a funeral for Peter, because Peter ends up dying in the movie, and he's like the Nosferatu, oldest vampire type guy.
Who turned Declan and Nick?
Yeah.
And so like they had this
Deacon.
like
Sorry, Deacon.
yeah, they had this really realistic kind of like skeletal, like charred body made for the movie because like, you know, he dies via sunlight. And so they were doing a like a night kind of like they put him out to the ocean. They put him out, you know, into the sea. And when they were shooting that scene, they actually lost the prop. And so Taika Waititi had to go to the newspapers and say, like, if anyone finds a charred body washed up on the shore, it's just a movie prop. It's not real. So
Oh my
don't panic.
God.
That's pretty funny.
That's amazing, dude.
I
Oh,
think,
gosh.
you know, I think there's something about these New Zealanders
They,
and their sense of humor
yeah.
that I just vibe with. I
100%.
really don't understand.
We're big in New Zealand. You know that?
That's good because we should be. Because
We should be. 'cause
Holler.
we love all of your stuff,
We love all your stuff.
except for bad taste.
We love
Yeah.
our Kiwis. I think
Speak for yourself. I love bad taste.
I've kind of liked the whole Kiwi thing
Yeah.
since I was in high school. I went to this This is kind of like off the wheels, but
Yeah, go for it.
I went to a football camp my junior year in high school, and there was this lady there who was like the camp mom or something, and she was a Kiwi.
Mm.
My first New Zealander that I ever met. She was really goofy and weird and off the rails, and it's like and it's like every New Zealander I've ever met has been just like her. They've got these crazy, weird sense of humors, and they're really dry but really super funny. You know, I don't get it. I think I want to go there.
I do too.
I really want to go there.
We should plan a trip that takes us to both New Zealand and Norway.
I'm down.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Oh, that would be. Oh, dude, the Salty Nerds Globetrotting.
Shit, man! You just said it.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Salty Nerd Patreon or saltynerdclub.com. Join our Patreon and help support us in this goal of traveling the globe and saying hi to the crew from Norseman.
Yes.
And to go to New Zealand and just say thank you for being goofy.
Yeah.
We love you guys.
And we can go spend the night in a hobbit hole or something.
Yes. Oh my God.
I'm down.
So you guys know the character of Stu in this movie where
He is the reddest human we've ever met.
yeah. So he's just like this. He was a friend of one of the guys who got turned into a vampire. He's a human, and he kind of just shows up and he's like teaching them about the internet and email and stuff like that.
Mela Demon.
Yeah, and all the vampires like really like Stu. Like
Stu is really cool, you guys.
yeah, they don't want to eat him or anything like that.
It's like, oh, can you show me sunset?
I love the coming out scene between Stu and Nick. And he's like, so I brought you here today to tell you I'm a vampire. And he's like, that's okay, man. I'm still your friend. It's just so back to school special.
Yeah.
Well, the guy who plays Stu, his name is actually Stu. It's Stu Rutherford,
Yeah.
and he was a childhood high school friend of Taika Waititi's. And when they were shooting this movie, Taika called up Stu and he was like, "Hey man, can you just like come over and be in this film for like a day?"
Just be yourself.
Yeah, and Stu was like, "Yeah, okay." And then like he showed up and Taika just kept keeping him there and made him like a huge part of the movie. And Stu was just like, "I didn't know I was going to be in so much of this movie."
I'm like the main character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He drives the entire plot of the movie.
Kind of.
There's so many funny scenes in this movie. We talked about the introduction where I think the one that I laughed the hardest at was when Taika Waititi opens the door and it's just red velvet and like two naked
yeah,
chicks
yeah.
and he's just sitting there like, what are you doing?
I mean, he's on the ceiling.
Yeah, and they're up on the.
fucking
It was
too.
so goofy. It was so funny. The other one too is when Taika was like, he's talking about his girlfriend with the little silver locket, and he puts it on his neck, and it starts to sting, and it's like
Oh, yeah.
smoking, and he's like, I can only wear it for so long. And he takes it off, and he's all like,
It's just made out of silver.
God damn it, this freaking movie is so funny. And the other thing too, when the I can't remember the guy's name, but he's got the fantastic mustache beard thing.
Oh, Jermaine Clements.
Yeah, and he's like,
Vladislav.
he's like,
Vladislav.
I have to go see the Beast, and it's like it shows you clips of like this gnarly monster thing, like ancient
And it's all
paintings.
drawings.
It's all
but-
drawings
yeah.
and stuff, and you're like, oh, the Beast. Oh shit, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
And he goes,
What's the
it's his
Beast?
ex. It's just some
ex-girlfriend?
chick. He's like, hello, Beast. She's like, you know, I hate it when you call me that.
She's like, hello, asshole.
Well, it's funny. Wasn't his name like Vladislav the Poker or something like that instead of Vlad the Impaler? Because Jermaine Clement actually based his character off of Gary Oldman in the movie Dracula.
Oh, yeah, okay, I see it.
That tracks.
When
Yeah.
they get to the undead ball or whatever it was, he's got his stupid haircut. With,
Oh, dude.
with this poofs in
Yeah, the
front of it.
big
Yeah,
heart-shaped
yeah.
poof, and he's got the mask on, and he's like full white garb with the furry collars and everything. It's so goofy.
I love the fact about this movie. It reminds me of this time in my life back in the early '90s when I hung out with like these weird vampire LARPer friends.
Whoa,
Yeah. No, they were like really super
I don't
into.
know if I'm ready for the rest of this story.
Wait a second.
I need
No,
more
for real.
information.
Start from the beginning.
No, long story. But there's this game out there called Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah.
I think it's still out there.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I had this group of friends who were like super into it. I was not. Okay. I was a Dungeons and Dragons player, but you know, there was some co-mingling going on.
Sure.
And they wanted to go to this live action role playing thing for Vampire the Masquerade up at this town north of us in Corvallis. And it was
You ever been with a big larp?
no, it was weird because I mean, people will be able to explain this more in the chat below. If you're familiar with this, chime in.
Comment below.
Yeah. But they had this big Vampire the Masquerade gathering, and it was in an abandoned mall. So they basically rented this mall from whoever owned it, and there was like 400 or 500 people there.
No shit.
LARPing is in this big Vampire the Masquerade event.
Oh my gosh, my mother would have a heart attack.
Oh, it was wild, and everybody has like there's the Brujahs and all these different vampire clans and werewolves and shit. It was
Really?
Oh yeah, it was just like this.
No
it was
shit.
everybody was in costume. It was
Like Victorian era with like the pointy teeth.
whatever their characters were, because each one of these guys in this movie, they kind of are pulled from different character classes in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
it
actually,
was crazy. Mike, do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. Like for this movie in particular, they based each one of their vampires on a specific style of vampire.
Yeah.
So, for instance, we mentioned Jermaine Clement. He was based off of Dracula.
I think he would be like a Toreador or something, or
Taika Waititi was based off of like the Anne Rice Interview with the Vampire type, Lestat type character. The Deacon was kind of based off of the Lost Boys, what's his name, Kiefer Sutherland's character, and then of course you had Peter, who was based off of Nosferatu.
Yeah.
So you had like all these kind
Different
of like
versions of
models.
vampires.
And I think the guy who gets turned into the vampire, I forget his name. Was it Nick? Yeah, Nick. He was based off of Edward Cullen from the Twilight
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, and
Wait,
that's why he loves Twilight so much.
Did Twilight come out before this?
Sprinkles.
Yeah, because remember Nick is like, hey, you know that movie Twilight?
No
I'm the
shit.
main guy.
I have zero knowledge of Twilight, so I don't know when it came out. I've never watched the movies.
And that's what gets them into trouble is because Nick is the one that keeps telling people, hey, I'm like Twilight. I'm like Edward Cullen. And he's telling everyone. And the one guy's like, I'm a vampire hunter. And he's like, haha, no, you're not. Turns out he was.
Yeah, we would
And
totally
he,
does.
he comes over and kills Peter.
Yeah, but it's funny because like they actually like reference some of these movies where like they have this great scene where they have their victims over and they're feeding them spaghetti and they're like why are you eating those worms, and they're using their hypnotism and they're like yeah, we saw that in the Lost Boys, we thought it was pretty funny, so we do that a lot.
It's like your dick is a or a snake now, or something like that. And he's like,
They turned my dick into a snake. I'm out of here.
And then Peter tries to do that later on in the movie with a
Peter?
Not Peter.
Nick.
Nick tries to do that later on in the movie with a sandwich with Stu, and Stu's just like, that's not a worm, that's a sandwich. And the vampires have to explain to him, it's like, it only works on stuff that already looks like worms. And I love,
And they're like, we could do it later when we get back to the house. He's like, he already knows.
Yeah.
The joke's ruined.
Yeah. And I love how, so like Nick, because he's a new vampire, he's learning stuff. So he eats a single French fry or a chip.
It's a chip.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
While they're out one night. And it just smash cuts to him vomiting blood in the back alley. Like he's been
it's like a
poisoned.
hurricane of blood pouring out of his body.
Yeah. Like little things like that were really funny. I really liked when they ran into the pack of werewolves.
I love the werewolves.
Oh, that was great.
And there's supposed to be a sequel to this called Werewolves, but it's been so long. I hope that they're still planning on making it.
What's funny is Taika Waititi actually talked about that in an interview where he's like, it's gotten to the point now where when people ask us about the Werewolves movie, he and Jermaine basically just say that they're still planning on doing it, even though they're never going to do it. So
We're werewolves, not swearwolves.
well, I think they're looking at the TV show as the actual sequel to this, and you know, at one point they had announced that they're doing the Werewolves movie, and at this point they're just never going to do it, but they don't want to tell people that they're not going to do it.
This is one of those things that it was so low budget and so low key, and has blown up so much over the last decade or so, I guess now.
Yeah.
It's really cool because they've built a kind of a
bit of a cult following.
A bit of a cult following
sure.
and franchise off this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like we were talking yesterday in the car when we were slow driving over to the convention with Grandpa Kadish over here. But
the three of us are driving together.
Story later. This would be it's a really cool thing to build a franchise off of.
Yeah.
And I would love to see a sequel to this. Just an update on what these guys are doing now.
These characters from this movie.
These characters in this movie, but still keep it low budget. You know, they don't have to spend $100 million on a movie to make these. They could spend $500,000 or whatever, $1 million on a new movie for this.
I would enter an email list and just get updates.
The biggest,
but the thing now with this following that this series has made, if they made a low budget movie was a sequel to this, it would make $100 million
easily.
Oh, for sure.
Especially worldwide. It'd be huge.
With no problem.
Yeah.
And
Release it October 1st.
I think arguably arguably the biggest name in this whole franchise is Taika Waititi.
Oh,
for sure.
100%.
And it's already kind of like a passion project for him.
Yeah.
So I don't imagine he'd be like, I need $20 million to show up. Like, that's not his style. I think he would just do it just for fun.
Well,
you know, Taika is a really cool guy.
He's a really we would love to have you on, Taika
He's a really
Waititi.
cool guy. Yeah.
Also, what's interesting, and Vader was talking about this the other day. So there's a scene in here after Peter is killed, where they find out that a vampire hunter broke in and the sunlight hit him. These cops show up. These two police officers.
Yeah.
I was going to get to that in a minute. But cool.
And they actually, you want to tell the story?
No, go ahead.
So basically, these two cops got a spin-off TV show in New Zealand called Wellington Paranormal.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's basically just a very short kind of comedy series about these two police officers who keep running into supernatural events and explaining them away.
Yeah, I sent you guys the trailer for that a while ago. I don't know how it fell off my radar.
It's definitely something we need to do for this show.
Oh,
100%.
Yeah.
So, because you know, this is our jam.
This is our jam. Yeah, because I know we've got some comments because when we got done with Loki, we were like, you know what, we're gonna leave the Marvel and the big name stuff to the bigger YouTubers.
Because we always end up hating our lives midway through reviewing it.
Because they're shit.
You know what?
There's so much better stuff out there, guys, and this is what we want to bring you. We want to bring you the best of the best.
There's something to be said about a show that's only 6 episodes long that makes me want to kill myself versus things that are like 10, 12, 20 episodes long that I'm like, I want more.
And we can't even decide how we're going to break it down. Like, do we do episode by episode or half and half? Or do we season 1 recap? And it's like, we're always like, how do we make sure we get the best bang for our buck and present it to you guys and let you know, like, this is worth checking out.
Because Wellington Paranormal, I think season 1's only like 5 episodes.
Oh,
Oh
we
my
need to
God.
check
and,
it
and
out.
they're
I
like,
can't
and they're
believe
like
I haven't
25
watched
and
this
they're like
yet.
25 minutes.
We need to watch it. 100%.
Yeah, so
It's on our list.
You guys want to like just hang out and skip the convention today? and
Yeah,
watch?
I'm down.
Yeah. I'll make popcorn.
Screw the Patreon money that we spent to build that freaking set. Let's just hang out here.
Well, what's funny is like that scene when the cops show up. So Taika Waititi's character, he hypnotizes them right from the get-go to not notice anything out of the ordinary.
Oh my God.
Don't notice anything.
Yeah.
It's so funny too, because like off camera, or not off camera, but like on the side, he's like, I'm not that good of a hypnotizer, so this could wear off at any minute.
Yeah. He's like, this could be really bad any second. Hang in there.
It's so funny.
And they keep doing this thing where it looks like the cops are seeing like the supernatural stuff,
Yeah.
and then they just point out like, oh,
Oh
that's
my
a fire
God,
hazard.
dude! When they found Pete's charred body on the basement floor, and they're like, "Were you guys having a barbecue in here?" Like, hey man, there's no fire alarms. You gotta have fire alarms, bro.
And then they see like the dead vampire hunter
Yeah.
with like the rubble on top of him. They're like, "Oh, that's not good. Your building's falling apart." Then he's like, "See nothing."
Yeah, it's so good. Gosh, this freaking show is
It's
hilarious.
so good.
It's just there's really so much about this movie that just makes me laugh.
New Zealanders
This
are
thing- this
freaking
thing-
awesome.
This is one of those movies that I can watch over and over, and it just makes me happy.
You guys,
Because
should we
it's
just
just
move to New Zealand
think we
and do
should.
the podcast from there?
I
they're-
would. That's
I heard-
and
very
like
tempting.
interact with people at the grocery store.
And they'll be like, "Can you stop mimicking our accent, please? It's very offensive."
Should we do favorite moments?
yes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
man.
I'm getting off the rails here. Vader, give it a rating. What we do in the shadows, and what's your favorite moment in the whole movie?
I don't know what my favorite moment is. I have a good time with this whole thing. I kind of keep going back to the whole confrontation scene on the walkway with the werewolves when they're like,
Oh, you smell werewolves. Oh, you dirty dog.
oh
Yeah.
yeah. I can, you
Why
know,
don't
and
you go hump each other, sniff each other's butts?
yeah, it's just there's just stuff like that. It's just funny, in the way that he finds his old familiar who's 97 years old now, and he's like, "Oh, master, you told me you were going to make me a vampire, but I'm old now." It's just
You
really
put the wrong postage on
I know,
my
yeah,
coffin.
it's so funny. Just goofy little things that they do to make fun of the tropes and the whole vampire world. It's fun. It's a really fun, silly movie, and I love that it's spawning its own spin-offs and TV shows.
It has its own
and,
fandom.
and its own
Yeah.
cult
Yeah.
following. And we are very much a part of that.
I hope we are. Yeah.
I certainly am. And if you don't like Taika Waititi, I don't care.
Fuck yourself.
Fuck yourself.
It's like,
Yeah.
F off.
Yeah. And I know we just lost a couple patrons, but I'm sorry, guys. I do. I'm
He's
a
a
fan.
funny dude.
I'm a fan, man.
I know he's doing Thor: Love and Thunder, and I know he's been like, "I will shit on your lore in a second." Like, people take a real offense to that,
Yeah.
and I think it's because of the trend that we've seen directors go down, like Rian Johnson and others, who are like, "Screw you, fanboys!
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what I want."
I've never gotten that from him.
I do not get that vibe from Taika. Like,
I feel like he's like a writer and a director and an
Yeah.
actor, and he's in Hollywood, but also I feel like he's a fan
Yeah.
too, and his sense of humor and his trolling, and that's all stuff that like I feel like simpatico with, if that makes sense.
sure.
And there's a very big difference between someone who is a fan of stuff and creating content,
Mm-hmm.
and the difference between that and someone who is not a fan, hates the fans, and is like, if you don't like what I'm putting out,
I'm
then
an
there's something wrong
artiste.
with you.
Yeah.
There's just such a huge difference between that. And
100%.
and I just think he's funny and fun, and he puts out great content.
Yeah.
And if you don't like him, that's fine. That's your choice. But
Yeah.
I do, and I think we all do. So you're probably wrong, but I mean, whatever.
there was one thing I did think was pretty funny in this movie that um,
We're watching it right now.
Yeah, it's on the
And-
screen. And we're
and,
just like,
every scene, we're like, that one right there.
oh my
that's
god,
gold."
dude, he's like belly dancing
He's doing a sexual dance for his roommate.
in a see-through shirt. Go ahead, B. Go ahead.
I wanted to talk about the familiar really quick.
Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Because I thought it was funny that she's basically Guillermo from the TV show.
Yes.
Yes.
Except Nick, the new vampire, right? Is
Mhm.
Nick. He like went and made her a vampire.
Mhm.
So she got what every familiar wants but never gets by kind of like manipulating the new vampire into turning her into one. And she like finally got her
Well,
wish.
they have a history too. Like,
Yeah, 'cause they were like-
they
yeah.
dated when they were like 12, and then she brings him over to be dinner, and then Peter
Yeah.
ends up turning him. So then I feel like Nick's an idiot vampire,
And-
and,
and-
I feel
yeah.
like she guilted him into turning her.
Nick hates, or Peter hates Nick, right?
Yeah.
And I just thought it was really funny.
No, it was
Deacon.
Or
Deacon.
Deacon, Nick, yeah, Deacon hates, and she is Deacon's familiar, and Nick turns her into a vampire, which is,
And they're all
that's
like, well,
bad.
they're like, Nick took your place. And I feel like she guilted him and was
Yeah.
like, you jumped ahead of me.
I
I should be a vampire, not you. And he's like, let me make this right.
But
Yeah.
also she's lording over the fact that she's a vampire over her own husband.
Right. She turned her husband
Yes.
into her familiar. It's great. That's the kind of stuff I just love about
Yeah.
the movie.
It's
funny.
very clever. Very
Yeah.
funny. Speaking of Guillermo, like when we left off in season 2,
Season 2, yeah.
and he's basically
He's related to Van Helsing.
Van Helsing
Yeah.
Jr., I'm freaking stoked
Yeah.
for season 3.
But
Which is
not you, Guillermo.
but not you, Guillermo. But it's coming out this September, right?
Soon.
Soon,
In the next couple months, which we will be covering on the podcast. So stay tuned for that.
Because we fucking love that
We
show.
freaking love. We are shills for this show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is a freaking great movie. It's a solid 4, if not. I don't know if I give it a 5. I don't feel like there's any reason not to, but like 5 is like,
You're being stingy.
yeah, 5 is like up here. It's Raiders of the Lost Ark. Good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if
As
it's
far
that good.
as a monster movie goes, it's not in the same realm as
It's-
Raiders.
No,
It's a monster movie.
it's a
in
parody movie.
in that category.
In monster parody improv, it's a 5 out of 5
Thank you.
because there's nothing else like it, and it's the best at what it does.
Mhm.
So it's 5 out of 5.
Wow.
I mean, it's basically The Office with vampires.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Which
and
is-
you love that.
I do love The Office
which is what
and Parks and Rec.
Bloodsucking Bastards wanted to be,
Mm.
but it's not. And I think that's why I didn't like that.
You know
movie
what?
as
Bloodsucking
well as I
Bastards
wanted
needs to go to New Zealand
Yes.
and have them
Yes.
rewrite the humor.
That gets me very excited.
Yeah. But I didn't give it. I'm gonna give this a 4.
Okay.
Okay, I can't give it a 5. It's not Con. It's not Raiders.
What's your favorite?
I'm very stingy with my 5-star ratings.
I know.
What's my favorite part? It's like I said, I just like this movie. I don't really have a favorite part. I never
Do you have a favorite character?
I really like Taika Waititi's character.
Yeah, he's really
he's
funny.
really funny. I like Vladislav. I like them all.
This is
I
gonna
really
sound
do.
stupid.
I hate sounding cliche when you guys ask me these questions.
Well-
That's why I hate these fucking questions. Who's your favorite character? Well, I like the fucking movie, so it was all good. I don't know. There's no Darth Vader here. I can't. I like Darth Vader. He changed my life.
Beast?
No, I didn't really like the Beast.
She's kind of a bitch.
kind of a bitch. Yeah.
Sorry, Jude.
No.
But
Why?
Well, you looked at me. You're like, oh, how dare you?
No,
Stu
that's my
was funny.
face.
Okay.
I look at everybody that way.
It's just a great ensemble, funny movie.
Gotcha.
And it's a cult classic, and I hope it just keeps getting more and more popular as the years go by.
This is gonna sound
So-
dumb, and I think it's just my own little head thing. But my favorite thing about these stupid shows is when they're talking about their past life,
Mhm.
like, oh, I've been around for like 500 years or whatever, and they show a picture of them in like an old drawing from the
Yeah.
18th century, and they just like plaster their face onto one of the people. I freaking giggle every
Yeah.
single time. I'm like, oh my god, that's so funny.
And that's a big thing in the TV show too.
Yeah,
the same
yeah,
kind of
exactly.
thing.
That's one of my favorites, especially the old drawings were like,
It's like,
oh, the beast,
oh.
and it's like this like bat figure
Wait a
thing.
second, you're the one that came and pillaged my village.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, it's goofy.
And
stuff.
they actually acknowledge the film crews and
Yeah.
Oh,
both,
yeah.
both the show and
Yes.
the movie.
Yeah, in the ball, and they're like, we could eat that guy. He's the cameraman right there. Why don't you grab
Well,
him?
then who would hold the camera?
Yeah, not the ball. There's like a zombie there just
Oh,
randomly.
yeah. Well, there's witches, zombies.
It's the undead ball, right?
Witches, zombies, and
vampires.
And vampires.
And lichens. Or are they
Well,
not allowed?
no,
No, they're not allowed
no,
there.
no.
That's
They
right.
don't like those wolves.
Oh, those
We're-
freaking stinky ass.
Stinky ass sniffers.
Everything
Yeah,
smells
yes,
like dog.
Oh, wait. Smells like dog. This is so vampire.
Why don't you go pee on that tree over there?
Oh, God. Oh, that's the other thing, too.
And
When
then at
you-
the
when you
end, when
throw-
Stu becomes a werewolf, they're like, okay, well, now we like werewolves
When-
because they love Stu and
Well,
they
'cause-
welcome him in.
and they can protect the house during the day.
Yeah.
But that scene when they met on the sidewalk, and Deacon, was it Deacon? Acts like he throws a stick. You know how we fuck with our dogs?
Yeah.
And he throws a stick at that one guy. He starts running after it. It's like, no, don't go out. God damn it. You know, it's like,
Yeah, the werewolf guy's like, you guys are embarrassing me. Stop trying to run after the stick. Don't fetch. No fetch. No fetch.
so good. That's the kind of humor that just.
And like Deacon's super petty throughout the whole thing because Nick is wearing a jacket that's similar to his.
yeah.
And he's like, I'm the young vampire and this is my style. And he's totally stealing it from me. And they're like, listen, he's a new vampire. He doesn't know yet. Like, it's not that similar. And he's like, oh, this is my style.
Kadish, did you give it a rating yet?
Not yet.
I didn't either.
Oh, you didn't either? Oh, Jude, go ahead. What's the rating for this
5
movie?
stars.
5 stars. Damn. All right.
I want to talk about one thing that I think is the most quotable line for me.
Go for
it. And there's like just a ton to choose from. Like, we're not swearwolves, we're werewolves. But for me, the best part of this movie is when they're trying to explain why they like eating virgins.
That is
You guys
amazing.
know what I'm about to
That's
say.
really good.
Go for it.
Just think of it this way. Like, if you're about to eat a sandwich, you just like it more if you knew no one had fucked it.
That is one of the best lines in this
Oh,
movie.
this movie's so good.
That's a t-shirt.
It is totally a t-shirt.
All right. Kadish, favorite moment, 5-star. What is it for you?
So I really like a lot of the kind of plays on tropes that this movie does. So like they go out every night and they try to get into these clubs, but they can't enter a building unless they're invited in. So they keep trying to get the doorman.
And the lead up to that where they're trying on outfits, but they have to like draw it.
Yeah, because
for
they
each other
they can't see themselves in the mirror.
Yeah.
But like they try to get the doorman to like invite them into the clubs, and the doormans are just like, nah, bro. Nah. And so like they can't go anywhere.
Invite me. And they're like, nah, dude, you guys look weird.
So like there's a lot of that playing on like the vampire tropes that just it's all through this movie. But I think my favorite part was when Stu is showing them the internet and they're just like freaking out over it. You know?
You mean you could look up anything?
Okay, I lost a silk scarf 200 years ago. Can you put that into the Google? I would really like to find that scarf. It was my favorite.
Yeah, it reminds me of that episode of the TV show where like they discover email.
Yeah.
And
Mail or demon.
Mail or demon.
Best. If you've never watched the show and you need to just watch one episode to decide if you want to watch the
think
show,
the-
watch Mail or Demon.
The title of the episode is Mail or Demon,
Yes.
right? Yeah, 100%. It's
Yeah.
freaking best
I think
episode.
it's season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like there's a lot of that great stuff in this movie, and everything in this movie is just brilliant.
Yes.
And I would love to see all the stuff they cut out or shot for it.
God, that would be awesome.
Seriously.
Yeah,
I just
Release the Waititi cut.
when you were talking about season 2, I immediately flashed to the episode where they made the troll into a block of stone, and it's just a giant schlong hanging down, and it's like
yeah, it's like blurred out.
it's all pixelized.
And Jackie
God.
Daytona's human disguise.
Oh, I
is
love
just
it,
like
dude.
what the toothpick.
A vest and a toothpick.
pair of jeans and a toothpick. I
Yes.
think is what it was.
You have a Jackie Daytona T-shirt, huh?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, it's on our
Well,
store.
You made it.
Salty Nerd
I
Store.
did?
No, I did.
Oh, you did?
Well, no, I borrowed it from
Oh my God.
Somebody-
For
it's
a
on our
second,
store.
I was like, oh my God, do I drink too much?
saltynerdstore.com. You can get a Jackie Daytona T-shirt. It's on the list. Just
I
scroll
need,
down
I
a
need
little
a
bit.
want
black
it.
one.
It's one of our first ones we made.
Can I have it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I'll buy it for you. All right. Katie, did you give it a star rating?
Not yet.
Go for it.
All right, so this is a 5-star movie.
Yes! All right.
Like,
Vader?
this is a movie I can watch 1,000 times.
A million times.
Never get tired of
Yes.
it and laugh every single time. That to me
So are you going to pressure me?
is a 5-star movie.
Are you pressuring me?
Matt
to
Vader
take 45?
74.
Oh, did he not
How
read it?
many
Did you not read
stars?
I
it?
give it 4.
How many stars do you actually give this movie?
Making him do it again. He's entitled to his opinion.
Shut up, Jude.
4 stars.
Fuck you.
I'm
Come
very
on, bro.
Stingy. I'm very
Come
stingy.
on, bro.
4.5.
Almost.
4.95.
If it had boobs, it would have put it over the top.
Yeah, there you go. I needed boobs.
I can't argue with that.
We're
All right.
vampires, not pressure pyres.
4 point what?
I don't know.
4.9 stars from Vader. That's about as close as I'm going to get. All right, guys. if you can't tell, we freaking love this movie. Go watch it for yourself if you haven't seen it already, and then go watch the TV show, and then join us for season 3 when we review that sometime in September or soon. Okay,
And
that's
then,
it.
like, we have scary movie nights like once a year. Just come over and watch it with us.
Be careful who you ask to do
I
that.
don't know if you want all these guys in your house.
Katie isn't going to want him in.
We need to have like a watch party.
Put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
We need to have like a watch party at Grouchy John's one night.
Oh, that'd be great.
Because they got the TV right
or
there.
Millennium.
Or Millennium. Yeah, at the bar.
You know, there's probably like big fan clubs in town that we don't even know about.
We need to start, whatever this is.
Spreading-
Oh, networking.
Networking.
That's what Kadish keeps talking about.
That's what the email list is for, right?
Yeah.
Just doing this? Can you just start doing this? It feels nice.
I'm going to go to the TrekCon today and just be like, hey guys, this is how you network,
I'm
right?
totally going to walk up to people like this. It feels good.
I'm like,
I like
hey,
it.
man, you got any gummy
I'm really
bears?
good at it though.
What
You
if
see
I did,
that? Look at that
like,
finger motion.
Alternating? Yeah, it's nice. It's like swimming.
You know I'm good at it. All right. Okay, guys, that's it for our discussion. Oh my gosh, that got weird.
See me.
Subscribe. Comment below.
Like, comment.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs
video.
up. All right, we're goofy. Gosh, we are so blitzed. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us on today's Salty Nerd Podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you aren't already, please subscribe. Comment below what you think of these movies. Don't watch Monster Brawl, but go watch the other two because
For
they're
sure.
really good.
Yeah.
And Matt Vader, where can they find you on the socials?
You can find me at MattVader74 and on Twitter, YouTube, and where else? Instagram. And,
Everywhere.
and
Twitter,
everywhere.
Twitch.
Yeah. All over the place.
TikTok.
Well, that's more your
TikTok, you don't
jam,
stop.
but I'm not a very good TikToker, but I try.
None of us are.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Mostly Twitch.
I think
Twitter.
Me and Jude need to start collaborating on some TikToks because we are in that vein where we can do some skits
Yeah.
and some funny
oh,
shit
For sure.
and some voiceover
I thought
stuff.
you were about to critique my TikToks.
No, not at all. I duetted you the other day with the drinking. If you're not drinking on Sundays, what are you doing?
If you're not drunk at 10 a.m., fuck you.
Jude, where can they find you on the socials?
Everywhere.
There we go.
See
At
me.
I am Jude Juju.
I am Juju on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
And Mr. Kadish, where can they find you?
You can find me at Matthew Kadish, Kadish on Twitter, and I am a blue check mark on there, so it should be easy to find. And you can also go to kadishbooks.com to check out my Amazon page.
All right, guys. If you'd like to follow the official Salty Nerd Podcast Twitter channel, you can go to salty_nerd. Or if you want to chat with me directly, go to our Discord channel, saltynerddiscord.com. We'll take you there. Join up. We'll give you a role. You can hop into some of the chats and have a good time. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And as always, stay salty, my friends.